Hello, everybody. Welcome to my podcast, Adoption, Love, and Life with Kaylin and my special guest, Leona.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you. You?
Yes, we're great. We have been going a little crazy with all of the audio stuff. It hasn't worked for us, so if we laugh about it, we laugh about it. But we decided to come outside because she has such a beautiful backyard, as you can see, and we wanted to be outside. So I'm so excited for you to be here and share your adoption story with us. We're going to start how we met first. We actually met like a week ago. We talked to each other like a week ago. And my friend was at an event selling her books. And yeah, you finish, because how you guys met.
Okay. Yeah. So it was a beautiful day over in Mapleton, and we went over for the concert. And they had the farmers market going on. And I just tended to go over to see a gal that was selling her books. And I was very interested because I myself am in the process of my book. And so I started asking her questions about her book. And she in turn asked me what my book was going to be about. And I told her about my adoption and my life.
Mm-hmm.
And then she said, well, I have a friend that is doing podcasts. And can I give her your name and number? And I said, you bet.
Okay. And that's how we met. Thank you, Stephanie, if you're listening to this. Well, I'm excited to hear all about your story. I know there's going to be bits and pieces that you're not going to share, and that is totally fine because she's going to put it in her book, which I'm excited when you get that out. So let's just start with your background. Where are you from? How many kids you have? Just a little bit about you.
Okay. Well, I was born in Wyoming.
Okay.
In a little town, and moved over to a little bit bigger of a town. And at that time, I had 2 older brothers and 1 younger brother. And then I was adopted into another family. And years later, I moved down here to Utah with my husband and my children.
And you have 3?
And I have 3.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
2 boys, 1 girl?
Yes.
2 boys and 1 girl. And how many grandkids do you have?
7.
7. So exciting.
It is exciting.
When did you really understand that you were adopted, and how did it affect you?
Okay, so I was about 3.5 when I was adopted. I still remember the process and things that had happened. My circumstances happened, and so as children we were being taken out of our home, and the welfare office was coming in, and at that time there were several families that were interested in trying to adopt us, and that's how that started. Is my adoptive father had found out about it and went to our biological father and let him know that there were 2 other families that were interested, and so then they had to let the welfare office know, and then that's how it all started.
Okay.
Going to court and the proceedings.
Okay. And did you so how did you end up with your adopted parents? Did you have to go from home to home at that time, and did you go with your brothers?
Okay, so when we went to court, there were 3 families that wanted. One family wanted my brothers, one that wanted me, and one that wanted my baby brother. And so we had to go live with those families for 6 months, and then during that time they would see how it worked out and if they wanted to keep us or not. And
which is so crazy.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, come to my house for a little bit, and then I'll decide if I want you or not.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I went to a family. They had 1 little girl, and my twin brothers went to another family. They didn't have any children, and then my baby brother also went to another family with no children.
So you guys all separated then?
We did.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. Do you remember the families that you went to from one house to another?
Well, my twin brothers, I grew up in the same town as them. And so we grew up together, and I knew them very well, their families. And then my baby brother, things did not work out with the family that was going to try to keep him. And so then he was sent to the children's orphanage and later adopted when he was 3.
When he was 3. Mm-hmm. So how old was he? Just a little baby?
He was 18 months old when he was first taken out of the home.
That's hard.
Mm-hmm.
Did you... I don't know. I have so many questions, but then I don't know what to ask. And that's my questioning card that just flew, so I'm not going to get that. So you guys all ended up, you said you all ended up being in different families, but you also went to school together, so you guys saw each other throughout your childhood then?
My twin brothers and I did.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That's kind of cool.
Yes.
And when you went to school, like, did people know that you guys were all, like, brothers and sisters, or did they act different? Like, did they ask questions like why you guys are in separate homes or anything like that?
No, it was a small town, so everybody knew everyone, and, everybody was kind, and it was, even though we were in different homes, we still saw each other.
That's cool. Mm-hmm. A lot of the circumstances of kids trying to be together, usually they are all separated. But that's cool that you were still in the same environment in school, so you got to see each other. When did you realize that you were actually adopted?
Well, right from a small age, I knew, because I knew even though I was 3.5, I still remember things. And so I knew right away, that I was going to go to this new home, and so I just fell right into it. And,
and did they talk about it when you came in the home and stuff? Were they very open about it?
Mm-hmm. Yes, my parents were always very open. They always told me the circumstances about our biological parents, and so I always knew my whole life growing up
that you were adopted.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Did you, this might be a little bit personal, but did you ever feel like something was missing or anything like that? So growing up, I always, and I still do, feel like something is missing, but I don't have growing up with my mom and my dad, I don't have really information about my parents really, and I don't have pictures or anything like that. Did you have that as you were growing up, and then as you got older, did it affect you or any way?
So my parents always told me, that I looked just like my mom, my biological mother, so I always knew that. They'd mentioned what my father looked like, so I always knew that. I never really knew anything about my baby brother, what had happened to him. And I admit there were times I always wondered what relatives of mine I had and what they would have looked like. But I always felt like I belonged to this family that I was adopted to. And the older I got, I just always felt like if it's meant to be, that I will find my parents and my relatives. And if not, then when I go to the other side, I will meet them.
Okay. And then as you got older, did you ever meet them? Just gonna fix that.
I did, but it wasn't until I really didn't start looking until I was probably in my late 30s when I started having health problems.
Okay.
And so I felt like I just needed to kind of see if I could find something out. And I actually hired my brother-in-law, who was a lawyer.
Oh, okay.
And that's how we were actually able to find my baby brother.
Oh, so you did find him.
I did find him after all these years.
And what about your twin brothers?
My twin brothers, I knew them all the way up till we were young adults. And then I've always known them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just didn't know if you guys like just drifted apart later.
Later on, my brothers
Okay.
went a separate direction. The twin
Okay.
brothers did.
Okay. But you still have a contact with them today?
Actually, no, not at this time.
Not at this time. Okay. I'm going to go to the next question, and then if something comes up or you have a question for me too, you can definitely ask. What is the one thing you have learned by being adopted? I know there's lots of things. I've learned so many things by being adopted, like throughout my life that I've gone through. But like, what is one thing that really has made you who you are, or that's really been like a changing life for
Made
you?
me suddenly get teary-eyed.
Oh.
I think my parents always made me feel wanted. And that's always meant a lot. Because there's children born into a family that don't feel wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And so I always felt like I was wanted. And so that was always very important in my life. I was always, my parents never would single me out to anybody as being adopted. They always, said I was their child. And I've always felt that. And I think that's very important for parents that do adopt children to let them know how important they are, that they were wanted and they wanted to love them. I think that's very important.
And accept you as like their own.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So like when people would come to your house, like your parents never like, oh, by the way, this is my child and my adopted child.
No, never. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I think that's very important, because I think if you do single that child out, I think you just have more resentment, I guess, or just more feelings that you don't want a child to have. I think that's so important. My parents growing up, they just were like, oh, these are my kids. And then as we got older, I think the only time that I noticed my mom and my dad would say, oh, they're adopted, is because my mom looks really young. And then me and my brother are only 8 months apart. And so when we all would get together, they would, my mom would be like, oh, these are my kids. And their brains would just work and be like, whoa, like, how old are you? And she'd be like, oh, I'm in my 50s. And they're like, what? Wait, that, it's not adding up.
Right.
Did you have them when you were like 12? And so that's the only time my mom would say, well, I adopted my kids. But I think sometimes I feel like she like hates saying that, because she never wants us to feel like that, oh, I adopted him, was like the easy way out, because a lot of people will look at that and say they don't know the situation, right? I love that. I think that's a really good reminder for people, for parents, to let them know that they're their kids. That's why you adopted them. So if you don't want to adopt them and you say, hey, this is my adopted child, it's like,
right,
why did I adopt you then? Like, why do I have you? I don't know if that makes any sense.
It does.
Okay, so the next question is kind of like the other question, but what do you want others to know about your adoption in your perspective that others wouldn't know?
Other than just, I think as far as a parent, when they're adopting a child, I think it's what we just talked about. It's very important that they always make that child feel welcome and they don't single them out. That's very important. Just keep them knowing things, just so that they go through their life feeling like they were wanted and needed and loved from a parent's perspective.
Growing up, I think there's others that are not open about their adoption, and their parents don't want them to know like what happened to their families and stuff like that. You said that you knew a lot that happened with your parents. Were you grateful that your parents told you about them or not?
I was always very thankful that they were very open with me and told me everything, because then I didn't have to question anything. I always knew. I just knew. And I've heard stories where kids find out later in life and they're devastated over finding out. And I think that's cruel, really, that they don't tell them, because, I mean, if I had found out later, yeah, I would have a lot of questions. And this way I grew up, I knew, and I knew everything that my parents had told me, so I never really questioned anything.
And even if you didn't know, like, you're always going to have it in the back of your mind. I don't have, like, a lot of history with my family. Like, I know my parents' names, but, like, I don't know anything. Like, I don't know why my parents gave me up. I don't know all of that. Like, it would be nice to know. You did mention that you know your parents, like, you have pictures of them, right? That is, like, the one thing that I wish I could have, is just someone I can look at that looks like me.
Yeah.
Because I think that would, I don't know, feel like a hole in my heart, because I have my kids, but they're half mine and half my husband's. So, but it would be nice just to see, like, you know, who else I look like. And I think that's really cool that you know what they look like. You can put a face to the name, and it can tell you a lot of things when you look at that person. Did that change for you when you saw your parents in a picture or anything years down the road, or do you remember them as you were 3 years old?
You know, I do remember now that when I looked at pictures years later. I mean, I remember my dad, and I never really had good feelings about that, and so I knew something wasn't right. And the stories that I had heard about my mom and the circumstances, it was heartbreaking to learn. But yes, years later, when I did find out through an aunt that had found me, she had pictures of our family, and she told me everything that I wanted to know. And so that was quite exciting to finally find a lot of information out.
I know that you have 3 kids, and do they ask you about your adoption?
I've always been honest with my children. They've always known. They've always been a part of it. In fact, when my aunt, my biological mother's sister, found me for the first time, it was my children that ran to the computer and pulled all this information up.
Yeah.
And we were able to talk to her for the first time.
Oh, that's so awesome.
You know, and then they were with me when we met her and my other my brothers, for the first time. So they've always been a part of it.
That's awesome. And to have that support that, like, just this is what you get when you're outside. It can get windy. And I think that's amazing that you can have, like, that support when you are going through something that you want to find out about your parents or just family members, and you can have, like, that support. My parents have always been supportive about trying to find my parents. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to find them. I also found a company that could try to find them, and in the end, they just said they couldn't have the resources because mine is foreign. And so, but they've always been supportive. So I think even having your kids be with you to meet people that, you know, were supposed to be met in your life, but that they can support you, I think that's so awesome.
Well, and I think, too, if I would have found this all out when I was younger, I don't think I would have been ready for it. But when things happened, I was an adult, and I've always felt like there's a reason and a time for everything. And at that time in my life, it was a time for me to find this information out.
Well, and I think you learn as you go, right? I think when I was pregnant with my first child, that's when I really thought about my my birth mom. And I thought about, like, why would she get rid of me? Like, why wouldn't she want me? But I also think about, like, I don't know what her circumstances were either. And I've learned to be okay with whatever the circumstance is, because I'm also very grateful to be here too, and my parents truly changed my life for the better. And so, but you do wonder, you have all those questions in the back of your head, or your mind, I should say. Yeah. I don't know what else. There's a lot of questions I want to ask, but I know that you don't want to ask. I mean, you don't want to answer a lot because of your book, which I'm really excited for you to work on, and we'll make sure that we present your book and stuff so people know about it. Is there anything that you want to share or ask me or talk about?
I think it's really important to think about the mother that has given her child up or had them taken away, because we don't know the circumstances all the time, and we don't know why. We don't know what they went through, if they gave them up out of because they were young or circumstances. And so I think that's really important too, is to think of the mothers. And even the fathers. I mean, some fathers might not even know that somebody was pregnant with them. I mean, there's so many things involved. And so that's why you just have to watch what you say, because you don't know what was going on in their life at the time. You know, just like my circumstances, I had no idea what really, truly happened until years later. And so I think we have to not be judgmental.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's very important.
I think a lot of people don't know what to say when they don't have someone that's either an adoptee in their house or anything like that. And there's a lot of them that do judge and they just think, right? And I've had many occasions where people would just assume things and they would just ask me, and I was like, wow, you are very blunt. But no, that's not what happened. And so, like you said, I think they need to be very careful in how they say it and not just judge. And if they really sincerely want to ask, they need to do it out of respect, because we don't know. They don't know our circumstances or what theirs was either.
Right,
So, yeah, I think that's awesome. Do you have any questions for me?
Well, let's see. You have a lot to find out yourself, you know, sibling-wise, and there's just a lot for you to find out. And that's why I say, I just think when the time is right, if it's meant to be, you'll find it out.
Yeah.
And that's how I was. And when the timing happened, it was right. And then I embraced it. And so I'm thankful that I'm not one of those that found out the wrong way, or found out and I wasn't, you know, the parents didn't want me. I'm just so thankful for that, because, and I feel for those that have that heartache finding out, well, why they really didn't want me or something. So there's a lot of feelings involved.
Yeah. I actually don't have any siblings. I know that for sure. I actually was an abortion baby that survived. And my paperwork says that all of my siblings were abortion. And so I'm the only one that survived. So I actually don't have any siblings, not that I'm aware of. But you said something that really like hit home to me. I don't even know, because there's like so many other questions. I think, yeah, people just need to be open and not so judgmental when it comes to asking questions if they want to know, because we don't know what everybody's been through, you know, and it's either maybe a good thing or a bad thing, maybe a heartache or maybe joyful thing that you are adopted, you know. Whatever the circumstance is, I think we need to remember as adoptees that we do have feelings too. And just because it wasn't the same as yours, or you're not, that you were adopted and someone is born into a family, we just got to be careful how we approach things.
One thing I have always thought was really great was growing up, even though I had my brothers, people always thought that my sister was the one that was adopted, and I was the one that was born into the family, because I looked so much more like my mom.
Your mom, okay.
And so I thought that was really interesting. For years, everybody always thought that. And even when my daughter was born, people would say, oh, they look just like your mom. Or my son, when he was born, oh, they look just like your dad. And I just love that, the way, God has put that so that he knew where we needed to go and who we needed to be with. And you fit into that family.
Yeah.
Not everybody does, but I think the majority do. And I just think that's pretty amazing.
That is cool. And growing up, a lot of people said I look like my dad, but not my mom. And they were like, oh, she's adopted. Like, what? But she looks like you. So, yeah, I think people or, parents that are adopting or whoever's adopting, like, they're meant, for all of us, because I don't know where I'd be without my parents. I had a really crappy, place to be in the orphanage, and I don't know what I would do without them. I found love and happiness because of them, and so I wouldn't have what I have without them. So,
and so you've been very blessed with that, as I have.
Yeah. Yep. So, well, I think that's all the questions I have. Might do another segment if our audience has any questions, but did you want to say anything else before we go?
Well, I want to see your book someday.
Okay.
And I just feel so blessed. I really do. I mean, I've been able to find family, which will come out in my book. But I have been truly blessed, and I do have a deep faith in God, and I know that He will lead us to where and who we should have in our lives, and it's up to us. I'm so thankful that my parents, it's so funny because before I was adopted, my aunt and uncle, when I was adopted, were actually my neighbors as a little child before I was adopted. So I actually knew them before I was even adopted.
Okay.
And so many people, I think if people know that children are having a rough time, neighbors, church, school, they know. I think when they step in and bring that love to those children will always remember it. I still, even though I was 3.5 years old, I remember the people that became my aunt and uncle. I remember some of the neighbors, and I remember how they let us play in their yard on their trees, and I remember that, and I think that's so important for people to reach out and love them.
And love them, no matter where they came from.
That's right.
Yeah, I love that so much. Oh, that gives me chills. I totally agree with you there. Well, thank you guys so much for, now my voice is cracking. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for taking the time to do this podcast with me.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll see you guys.
Bye.